Hi, welcome to Storytime with Gigi. Today we're going to be reading another story from our Disney Christmas storybook collection, A Treasury of Tales. Our story today is from Cinderella, and it's called A Merry Christmas for Mice. It was Christmas Eve, and Cinderella was feeling very lonely. Her stepmother and her two stepsisters, Drizella and Anastasia, had gone to spend the holiday with their cousins. Cinderella had not been invited. She had been given a list of chores to do while they were gone. As Cinderella sat by herself in the empty house, she thought about what Christmas used to be like for her. She remembered how she and her father had loved decorating their home and wrapping gifts for the many friends who had come to visit. A tear rolled down her cheek. Aww. Her mouse friends, Gus and Jacques, skittered to her side. "Cinderella sad?" asked Jacques. Cinderella nodded. "It's Christmas Eve," she said, "and you would never know it." "Doesn't look like Christmas," chattered Gus. "Where's the holly?" asked Jacques. "Where's the tree? What kind of Christmas can this be?" Cinderella explained that her stepmother and stepsisters had decided not to decorate since they were going away. It would make too much of a mess. "I love the Christmas mess," Cinderella said with a sigh. "And the busyness, that's all part of the fun." "Not too late," said Gus. "Let's get to work, Cinderella." Cinderella smiled and the mice cheered. Cinderella used a large bowl of milk to lure Lucifer the cat into a room upstairs. She didn't want him to chase the mice and birds who were going to help her decorate. "You'll have to stay in here today," Cinderella told Lucifer as she closed the door behind her. Gus and Jacques called the other mice and the birds. They went to a nearby forest and gathered pine boughs, holly branches, and mistletoe, which they wove into beautiful garlands. Meanwhile, Cinderella found and cut down a small tree with her dog Bruno, who hauled it home on a sled. She and her friends hung red apples and colorful strands of berries on the boughs. She trimmed the branches with candles. When the tree was lit, Cinderella stood back to admire it. "A Christmas tree is a sign of hope," she said. "I feel more hopeful already." "Me hopeful too," said Gus. "We gonna eat good Christmas dinner?" "Oh dear," Cinderella said with a sigh. "We've been so busy that I forgot about the food. You all must be very hungry." She looked all through the shelves and cupboards, which were almost bare. Cinderella's stepmother had locked the cellar where the hams, cheeses, and preserves were kept. There was almost nothing left to eat except an oat cake and a pot of yesterday's pea soup. "I'm sorry I can't offer a feast," Cinderella said. She placed the small cake on the table, then gave pieces to each of her friends. "Whole oat cake?" said Gus. "That is big feast, better than crumbs, yes?" "A feast, just not food," Jacques told her. "But friends too. Agree, Cinderella?" "You are absolutely right, Jacques," Cinderella remarked. After much laughter, the last crumb of cake disappeared. Cinderella set to work making a deep dish apple pie. The mice crowded around her as she worked. Cinderella realized that it did seem like Christmas after all. There was a roaring fire in the fireplace. She'd shared a nice meal with her friends, and they were about to have a delicious dessert. "Thank you for sharing my Christmas," she said to the mice and birds. "I was so sad this morning, but now I'm happy to have had such a wonderful holiday with you." "We had a good holiday too, Cinderella," Jacques said. The other mice nodded in agreement. "Waity, waity, Cinderella," said Jacques with a wide grin. "Gotta open gifties," said Gus. He pulled out a small package from behind his back. Cinderella opened it. "How beautiful!" she exclaimed. Using some of Drizella's cast-off ribbons, the mice had woven a tiara, which sparkled with tiny beads. When Cinderella put it on, the mice cried, "A princess! A princess!" "You're our princess, Cinderella," said Jacques. Cinderella looked down at her adoring friends. "You have been so good to me," she said. "I wish I had a gift for you." "You saved us from Lucifer," said Gus. "That big gifty." At that moment, they heard a yowl from upstairs. "Lucifer!" the mice cried. Cinderella didn't think it was fair to make the cat sit alone in a cold room while the others celebrated. "Would you mind if I brought him down to join us?" "Lucifer?" The mice scampered away. Jacques shuddered. "We'll be Christmas feasty for the beastie." Cinderella turned to her friends. "Couldn't you all declare a truce?" said Cinderella, "at least for Christmas Eve?" Gus hesitated, then sighed. "If he will, we will." Cinderella went upstairs and let Lucifer out. "I'm sorry, Lucifer," she said. "I was afraid you would eat a mouse for Christmas dinner." Lucifer shook his head. Then he patted his belly and pointed to the empty milk bowl. "Promise?" Lucifer nodded. And he kept his promise. Lucifer snoozed by the warm fireplace. Cinderella and her mouse friends spent a peaceful evening sharing their apple pie. It was a Merry Christmas for them all. And that's our story. I hope you liked it. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends. Bye until next time.